Welcome to People in Profit, where we look at how business shapes our world. I'm Stephen Carroll. Coming up, how should companies respond to a Trump Twitter attack? We'll hear from the law firm that's drawn up a blueprint for bosses. South Africa uncovers a fresh rate rigging scandal. We'll dig into what's gone wrong in the $5 trillion foreign exchange market. And a stitch just in time, the lingerie brands that are stepping in to rescue a traditional French lacemaker. First up, though, it's become a hallmark of Donald Trump's presidency. If he's not happy with a company's actions, he attacks them on Twitter. It's a modern twist on a strategy known as jawboning, where politicians try to use their platform to influence the private sector. In a moment, we'll be hearing from a law firm that's advising companies how to deal with this sort of attack. But first, Emerald Maxwell has been looking at some of Donald Trump's most recent tweet storms.
I, John Trump.
Donald Trump was naming and shaming companies on Twitter even before he took the oath of office. The US president has more than 25 million followers on the platform, and he's not afraid to use his influence. He has taken aim at Boeing, threatening to cancel the order for a new Air Force One, and slammed Lockheed Martin for the, quote, tremendous cost of its fighter jets. He's also directed his 140 characters at the likes of Ford, General Motors, and Toyota, warning of retribution if they move production abroad. Every time, shares in each of these companies fell, at least temporarily. But Trump's outraged tweets may be more symbolic than effective. It's not clear so far that they have caused any businesses to actually alter their plans. Ford may have cancelled the construction of a new plant in Mexico after Trump's Twitter bullying, a fact the president was quick to take credit for. But in reality, the company moved most of its production to another Mexican plant. The effect of the Trump tweet attack may be diminishing, though. After the president criticized American retailer Nordstrom for dropping his daughter's clothing line, the company's stock actually climbed nearly 4% compared to its pre-tweet standing.
The law firm Cleary Gottlieb has drawn up a guide for companies on how to respond to these sorts of attacks. I'm joined from New York now by Pamela Marcogliese, who's a partner at the firm. Pamela, thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Sum this strategy up for us. If a company finds itself at the wrong end of a presidential tweet, what are you advising them to do?
Well, that's a really interesting question, actually, because our view is, before it even gets to that, we think that there are many things that companies can do to prepare and help mitigate risks of getting to that point. Obviously, everybody knows social media. The hallmark of it is that it moves very quickly and things can go viral in an instant, and there is very little time to react in that moment. And so our advice is for companies to take some time ahead of time and plan out the strategy so that if and when something were to occur, they're prepared to hit the ground running and execute on the strategy they've thought about. And so our view is that the strategy would, in the first instance, involve companies assessing their areas of greatest risk and vulnerabilities. So for instance, is the company in an industry where that is particularly of interest to the current administration, or is the company contemplating any transactions that may be of interest to the president? And then once they've figured out the greatest areas of risk, to rely on their crisis management procedures that many companies already have in place. And the benefits of those is that they tend to be cross-disciplinary and bring together many different people in the organization to tackle crises-type situations.
What was the impetus for putting out this guide now? Is it just Donald Trump and the White House, or is it something that you feel is you've had demand from your clients for?
Well, we know that it's been on the minds of many of our clients. We've had conversations with many of them with respect to these issues, and they are reporting to us that their boards are equally focused on this. So I think that there were two factors that led us to put out the memo now. One is that we think the time is ripe for people to review some of their policies and for companies who don't have them to consider implementing them. But we also know that February is a very big month for board meetings. And so given that we thought this would be a natural topic of conversation in many boardrooms, we wanted to provide companies with some guidelines to consider in managing those discussions.
Is there a case in which not responding at all is the right response?
Yeah, I think there definitely is a case. I think that Not every tweet, not every Facebook post, not every social media commentary requires a response by the company. And even if it does require a response by the company, it doesn't necessarily require a response via social media. Companies have many different ways in which they communicate with their constituencies, be it their investors, be it their customers, be it their employees, and all of those constituencies will be relevant in crafting the response. And sometimes companies may decide that more damage will be done in responding publicly and that there are better avenues for communicating the company strategy. I think this is another area where communication is key for companies who think that they may have certain exposures or certain vulnerabilities. Being proactive in terms of the messaging and communicating that messaging before a social media attack occurs can greatly help diffuse either the impact of the social media attack or possibly prevent it altogether.
Just one final question. Has this advice or blueprint been helpful in drumming up business for your law firm? Are you getting a lot of interest from potential new clients?
I think we are getting a lot of interest from clients. Clients are definitely focused on this, and we are just happy to be able to be there to help them through this.
Okay, Pamela Marcogliese from Cleary Gottlieb, thank you very much for joining us from New York.
Thank you.
Turning next to a fresh scandal in the financial markets. South African authorities have accused 17 international banks of colluding to manipulate the rand to dollar exchange rate and illegally profiting from it. Lenders including BNP Paribas, Bank of America, Credit Suisse and HSBC are among those named in the investigation. Many have already been implicated in previous rate rigging scandals and paid billions of dollars in fines. So, what's going on in the murky world of currency trading and how have banks taken advantage of the system? Kate Moody's been finding out. Kate.
Well, Stephen, it's said that money makes the world go round. And that means that currency markets are open 24 hours, buying and selling about $5.3 trillion worth of currency every day. Traders take a snapshot of the exchange rate every session. The most used is the fix at about 4 p.m. London time. That's the benchmark that companies around the world use when they're making deals. But it can be illegally manipulated if traders use that window by either holding back or submitting a rush of orders just before the fix is set. That changes the price on the market, affecting anyone else buying the currency. When done on a large scale, that kind of rigging can have a massive impact. Some banks have been accused of actively colluding to move markets to their benefit, even hosting online chat rooms to coordinate action. Others worked on a so-called gentleman's agreement. By discussing desired prices, coordinating trading times, and even creating fictional bids, traders were able to manipulate the exchange rate of a particular currency to their advantage. A Forex scandal in 2013 revealed that more than a dozen banks had been rigging currency markets for years. Both individuals and institutions have been accused of wrongdoing, and legal action is still ongoing. Some of the world's biggest banks have paid over $10 billion in fines and settlements. Even as global investigations continue, most major banks have already reformed their foreign exchange divisions with new technology and oversight of their traders. The 4 p.m. fix time has been extended from 1 to 5 minutes, which makes it harder to manipulate. There have also been calls for the currency market to be centralized to allow for clearer guidelines and monitoring, though for now that seems unlikely. The Financial Stability Board, an international watchdog, has warned that regaining public trust remains an uphill battle. Stephen?
Kate, thank you very much for that. Now, lace making has been a tradition in France for hundreds of years, but the industry is in decline with the rise of cheaper imports. The family-owned lace maker Noyon went into administration in January. It's now been saved from closure by a group of lingerie brands keen to maintain this skill set in France. Diptyque Laurent and Alexander Alcott have this report.
It's a second chance for a renowned French lace maker. A consortium of lingerie brands has banded together to save the Noyon factory in Calais. 170 jobs will be saved.
I think that everybody is satisfied with the result. We're hoping for better days.
We're happy. The factory will stay open and we'll keep our jobs. That's the most important thing.
The Noyon family first opened the factory 98 years ago. The art of handmade lace has been passed down from generation to generation. In the region, there were once 117 lace makers. Today, Noyon is just one of 3 left standing, and the factory buyers want to protect this artisanship.
Our real commitment is preserving this heritage and keeping jobs. We believe it's our duty to help companies like Noyon when needed.
The consortium is made up of lingerie brands from France, Belgium, Italy and Sri Lanka. The local region has also loaned €1 million for the creation of a new company. 80% will go to the consortium and 10% each to staff and the Noyon family. For the first time in its history, the family is taking a step back to save its future and the future of French lacemaking.
That's it from the People and Profit team. If you'd like to comment on any of the stories that we've been covering, get in touch on Facebook at France 24 Business, or you can tweet me at NewsStephen. Until next time, thanks for watching.
The 51%, presented by Annette Young.
A programme about women who are reshaping our world. We meet those who seek equality, be it in the boardroom or at the village well. The 51% brings you stories from across the globe about the women who are challenging the way we think.
The 51% on France 24 and France24.com.